Hey, what's going on? I'm Corey and I run a successful AI automation agency that has made over $50,000 in the last 5 months. And what I'm doing today is we're going to go through some frameworks that you can incorporate and how you know you're ready to actually be ready to start an agency. So come along for the ride. Let's get into it. So, like we said in here, are you ready to build an AI agency? I am starting a school community that explains this whole thing from scratch to a lot of people, whether they're a freelancer going into the AI agency space or whether maybe they just don't have the experience or prefer to just be that sales front end marketing expert and then hire a team around them to do the building. What we're going to do today is this is sort of tailored at the people that have maybe started building, give you a framework, the path to go forward to convert this to an agency. And so most freelancers stay stuck as builders, and it's the biggest mindset to shift from being a builder to an actual agency. There is a very big, not just mindset, but the way you operate, daily activities, documentation, staff management, the list goes on and on. So the building trap that many builders, they start building and then they decide, hey, actually, I am the builder, I am the business, I need to keep building, I can't start stepping away from the building and really developing this agency style. This is called the builder's trap. You are the bottleneck. Each project requires your personal involvement. You sign clients and they're here and they come to you, and then in your mind they're saying, oh, well, they came here for me, I should be here to do the job for them. And you become a bottleneck in your own time, right? You can't take on a million projects. You can't delegate because you're always just stuck in the middle, right? You're also trading your time for money. And I don't have to harp on about this. Everyone's sort of very aware of this factor, this day and age that, trading money for time, and then you sort of buy time with money once you've got it. But it for you to increase revenue maybe by two times or 100%, where you're going to require doubling the time. And that's sort of a huge issue when we come to scaling, because we can start capping out and doing jobs that are maybe $5,000 or maybe $10,000, but how much can you actually build? And a lot of people, they come and they say, yeah, well, I only want to make $20,000 per month, and that's completely fine. But when you mix that with you being the builder and you are the bottleneck, that means you can't step away and keep continuing to earn that $20,000. So we need to sort of work out a way, that you can step away and that you're not trading time for money. On top of this, to add it even further, there's no exit strategy. The business as usual stops working and revenue stops flowing immediately. If you take a 1 week holiday, you take any sort of day off, you have zero income coming in, right? It's not the ideal situation. It's not what we get into business for. So how do we actually transform this into an agency? Well, we need to build a team. I mean, that's logical, right? We need builders, we need project managers. Now, I did a video 2 days ago where it showed the standard flow was hire for your sales first, and then hire for your marketing, and then hire for your ops or your operations. That works in a very traditional type of businesses. For the AI space and the AI agency, it's actually reverse, right? So we want to hire for ops first. We want to then hire for marketing and then for sales. So we need to hire builders and project managers who can deliver while we take a step back and we focus on growth. From there, we also need to create repeatable processes that anyone on the team can follow. This is a very, very important fact, and the only way you sort of scale is to do the same thing over and over with every single client. And I speak from experience that you can't just, here's do this job and I'll be over in the corner. Don't talk to me. I don't want to deal with a client. And it doesn't work if there's no processes in place, because what happens is then the builder, the project manager, any other staff come to you and say, what am I doing? What do you want me to do in this situation? So we need to create systems to make it consistent so they're never coming and asking, and it's just gears cogging. And then you want to scale your sales. So you're building a predictable lead engine, your sales systems that bring in 10K months consistently. So we have the team building it, we have the systems, and everything is just running smoothly. Now we bring in that extra capacity of income. So we start getting more clients, we start doing outbound, we start doing setting up all the inbound engines. And then from there, we move from this custom work to a standardized package. And a lot of people follow this path of they start with a customized work. I did it, and then I started moving and realizing that standardized packaging is what we need, especially as we get to the higher levels. You get to a sort of break point where you need to work out how much time and how much money is these customized package costing me in terms of personal time and also in terms of the actual operations side. And you find that customized is an incredibly expensive venture to run. So we need checkpoints. Readiness checkpoints is usually a brilliant place to start. It's one of those things where you get to a point or there's a driver, a goal, and you sort of, once I hit here, this is awesome, I can go to the next one and the next one. So these work fabulous with scaling and growth. Successful agents don't do whatever the clients need. As I mentioned, we sort of need to productize, we need to package, we need to do something that we build as a central feature, and then we branch off to multiple sister companies. Mine, for example, we do AI roadmap consulting, and we do monthly automation retainers that work on growth systems. However, we do customize packages, but these fall under a whole nother category, right? Well, we do AI chatbot implementation and AI calling agents. However, they sort of fit into the customized solutions. They're not our monthly core package, where our monthly one is sort of focusing on strategic AI and consulting, and also these sort of templated growth systems. So checkpoint number 2, you need to make sure that you can consistently close deals worth $1,000 or more. This sort of makes sense because, you need to pay workers, right? You need a consistent, predictable amount of money coming in. You need to make sure that you don't take on a project and you can't afford the builders in the next week. On top of this, it validates your offer really to the market. So often you'll work in customized solutions, and then you sort of say, hey, this is great, there's a need for this automation stuff. And then you go into the big wide world, you start setting up these offers, these sort of main focus points of the business, and then you realize you're not making sales. It's usually because maybe the offer is wrong, maybe it's not in demand, maybe you're trying to sell AI phone agents to an industry that actually doesn't need it. So we need to sort of make sure that we can close more than $1,000 before we start shifting to this agency model. Our one for Blacklight, our pivoting time was when we could close at least or have at least a minimum of $10,000 monthly recurring revenue, which sort of validated our offer. And it's like, yes, okay, these monthly retainer packages work. You have to have multiple channels, obviously. So whether you get Upwork, cold emails, referrals, there's going to be a reliable way to generate these leads. You want to make sure that you have an inbound and an outbound engine pumping at all times, right? You want to make sure that as you step away and you do this agency work, that you're dedicating time to do this outbound engine. So whether you're doing Upwork applications, whether you're adjusting your cold emails every day, A/B split testing. And then you also want to make sure that you're spending a little time for the inbound engine coming in, which is social media, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. You have short form video. You have, training courses you could do, and booklets. There's lots of ways that we can do some inbound generation. And then obviously you want to make sure that you understand what the messaging works and can teach others to replicate your success, i.e. make SOPs, standard operating procedures. So number 3, we need to make sure your mindset is correct. A lot of people go and they have this grandiose plan that, oh, I'm going to swap straight to an agency. I'm going to be this hero. I'm going to be driving around with a Lamborghini. I'm going to be the man. I'm going to be the woman. Which, like, I'm going to be him, sort of thing. And when you step into sort of a team aspect, you really realize that the spotlight isn't on you. You're not the hero. You make the sacrifices, you do everything for the team, and in return, the business benefits from it. You also want to make sure that your first hire budget you need to account, and you sort of need to have this mindset that although someone's going to be coming in and helping, build or help do your project management, you need to be prepared mentally that money is going to be coming out, right? So you may get $1,000 for a job. Are you willing to sacrifice $600 of that? Let's say if you're running at a 40% profit share, are you willing to give away $600 of that and be completely fine with it? It's easier said than done. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, I can, sit on the lounge and not do anything, and they build, which is really not the case. It is so far from the truth. It's like you're still doing the work. Are you willing to put in, at least 2-3 hours, maybe 4 hours per client per week, to then hit the bank account? $1,000 hits the bank, and then $600 immediately goes out. So you need to make sure that the budgeting is in that mindset. PMs, the project managers or builders, they're about $1 to $5K per month. You can get them cheaper from Upwork, and there's a whole variety of places you can get them, Fiverr, or account for at least 10 to 15% rev for builders or project managers, or both. But there still needs to be that mindset check. And also, you need to make sure that your management skills are there. So leadership abilities, are you checking in with people? Are you giving them the right SOPs? Are they hitting and doing the right things, right? Are you getting a job and then going to your builder and just saying, build this? Or are you actually giving them builder notes? Are you actually preparing them and setting them up for success? It is a huge part. And a lot of people go in as a solopreneur, and then they sort of go, whoa, this is wonderful. I got someone to do all my building for me, and they still treat it as a solopreneur. They need to develop the leadership skills. They need to manage the performance, the KPIs, the timing, communication channels. You need to be able to talk between the builder and the client. And you really just need to start shifting from this solo to this management style. You also need to make sure systems and SOPs. I would say the number one thing, most important thing is your systems and SOPs, especially going into an agency. Without these, you will just get hammered. Your phone will ring. You'll get a lot of messages, and no, I'm not speaking from experience. But there needs to be you need to document the whole delivery process, even down to answering an email, even down to the email copy body, even down to how updates are done to clients. There needs to be a step-by-step project workflows. And this is where I was mentioning that you need to have like builder notes. The builder notes themselves is an SOP for that specific build. It has everything in it. It has the systems we're going to use. It has the client's login details. It has edge cases and how we can handle that, and what platforms we're using to sort of get around error handling. So SOPs and systems are everything. You'll find that even a simple operation, less than $5,000 per month, will have about 25-ish SOPs for just documentations on what you do. You'll start it, and then you'll realize, okay, so let's go with Upwork, right? Let's do an SOP for Upwork. We need, how do we find applications? That's one. Okay, how do we apply? That's two. what's the, the criteria to be like, yes, this is definitely the one I want to apply for. This matches my ideal job. That's 3. We then have what's the words that you're going to use, or the prompt use if you're using ChatGPT. There's another one. What's a pricing amount that you're going to aim for? How do you judge between maybe $100 job and it's super simple and a $100 job and it's super complicated? Do we need to charge extra? At what point do you charge? Okay, this job is a little more complicated. Rather than offer $100, I'm going to offer $200. And that's just the application stage. From there, you have, boosting, you have, timing, when was the job posted, reviews. There's just a whole bunch of stuff. So you'll find as you go through it that there'll be a lot of different SOPs that you can build. And then the final checkpoint, which is the biggest one, is moving to this owner mindset. A lot of people struggle with this switch. I think it's just a lack of being in that experience. A lot of people that are coming from a workforce, for example, they obviously have that mentality of being the worker, but you sort of need to go into this leadership role where you're thinking about strategy, right? You're taking jobs on, you're looking for like specific jobs that meet the 5-year goal, 1-year goal. We're making sure that we're hitting like all the market opportunities. A good example of this is when N8N came out, a lot of people started shifting to N8N, yeah. And then Replit came out for no code, building scrapers, software systems, just a no-code Python vibe coding. And the vibe coding term didn't actually come out for a very long time after Replit came out. So there was still a huge gap between, jumping on it there. Same as GPT. The early models of GPT wasn't really known until it sort of got popular, but there was still about a year gap between them. So, and there always needs to be a focus on the strategy. There also needs to be a focus on leading people. Now, this is easier said than done, but you need to start learning how you're hiring, how you're training people. What's the extent. In our AI automation stuff, we have a lot of different roles that can handle it, right? So, for my customized stuff, I have a staff member that does like scripting, Python scripting, and front-end development, back-end development. I have one that specializes in N8N, one that specializes in Make.com. What else do we have? CRM systems specialists for each of those. So it's sort of, you need to identify, what we're hiring for, because there's not a one, a be-all, one-all in the AI space. You could hire someone that's really, really skilled at N8N and Make.com in return. But if you're going to start doing customized work, how much can they go into like the enrichment, or how much can they expand into CRM building? If we need to do a full lead generation system, are they going to have the ability to connect to a CRM system, which then connects further down the line to other systems, or do we need a scraping system? So you sort of need to work out and how to manage and lead people with this. You also need to work out how to make them do the work, and you're not doing it yourself, which is very like a very clear instructions SOP style. And then obviously scaling systems. The majority of your time should be in building systems, multiplying impact instead of trading the hours for the dollar. So you need to make sure, rather than me building my own company's lead generation system, something new, maybe I've got an idea, perhaps I hire someone and spend $80 doing that, 2-hour job, 3-hour job, and then I can continue doing sales maybe, and I close in those 2 hours. Maybe I close one person. So was $20 a good trade of my time? 20, 30, or I think it was $80. A good trade of my time when I could have made this amount of money plus put the systems in place. So it's sort of a lot of just cost analysis. What's the best return on my investment? And I know all this because I've done everything I've mentioned in here, right? This is close this is, well, technically my story. I was a solo builder. I did my first project, like I mentioned a couple of videos ago. I built the first client, and then I realized I was not done for building. I wasn't ready to be a builder. It just wasn't my strong suit. So, I took on the job, and then I hired a builder to help me do the builds. Took on a few more jobs with them helping me. I obviously did the easier work, the quicker ones, while focusing more on sales and developing that aspect. They took on the harder ones, and then we got to about the 3 to 5k monthly revenue, and then they sort of came on as, the main builder, the first automation builder, which is about $750 a month. We created SOPs, quality processes. That's where the builder notes were sort of developed from creating this position. And I learned that creating the builder notes and implementing these certain processes. So we get, obviously, when we get a new client, we need to sign them up, onboard them, get platforms and all of this. And this came from learning, once we hired them, hey, what works best for you? How can I actually make you build more efficient? With that, we obviously hit about the 10k a month mark, recurring revenue, and at that point, it was time to bring on a project manager. So I needed to start stepping away from the projects and focus more on strategic growth, doing stuff like these YouTube videos, doing more relationship building around the community, partnerships, and a lot more of the inbound engine, so social content. So, we brought the PM on to handle client communication project flows, while the owner, i.e. me, focuses on sales and strategy. And then in doing this, we've consistently hit 10 to 15k months. I work about 20 hours a week on business development, so not delivery. This will be, creating new products. It will be, A/B split testing. It will be testing new platforms, what we can use, doing more consultation stuff, and it's anything but actual building the systems for the clients. So the AI tools don't build themselves, and I understand this from experience. That's why I've sort of made or started to develop a school community that teaches how to build the agency. I've done it. I chose not to go down the builder path very early, and I started building the agency. And a lot of people sort of get this twist of, hey, we get AI tools, I can build an agency, I can hire a VA, I can build a VA agent, but the systems don't do it, right? The AI tools, don't do it. Systems and hiring does. You still need to build the frameworks, like we mentioned in here. We need to build SOPs, the systems and stuff that your agent maybe doesn't do. So you can't just get away with saying, hey, I'm going to put this tool in place and I can build an agency. There's still a lot of difference between a successful agency and a solo freelancer. And it's not the tools that you use. It's obviously building repeatable systems and leading a team. So I hope that clarifies a lot of it, and it sort of motivates a few people to look into the AI agency space rather than being this solopreneur, trying to expand out and build their own actual agency around freeing up more time and doing more business development. So on that, I will leave it there. If you have any other questions, send me an email. The emails are in the descriptions. You can get the agency framework. All the links are in the bio, and I'll be releasing a school community very shortly on building an agency, following the exact steps I did to hit over 50k within 5 months. So with that, have a great day.